Hey everyone, today we're going to show you how we created a customer service agent that can call you, leave a voicemail, or schedule an appointment, and then also receive inbound calls if you call it back.
Yep.
If you don't know us, I'm Dan. I'm an AI engineer, and this is Dave Odell.
I'm a DevOps engineer.
And we've been working in the industry for about 20 years, focused on AI for just over a year now. All right, now I'm going to hand it off to Dave. He's going to go over the business process for our customer service agent. Go for it, Dave.
Yeah, hi. So this is a real use case. So I live up here in Lake Tahoe, California, and I have a subscription with a local HVAC provider. And part of the subscription is that I get free maintenance checkups every year on my air conditioner, on my hot water heater, and my furnace. And so it's kind of a pain. I'm not that organized. And so they'll occasionally call me saying, hey, listen, you need to call me back and schedule an appointment to do maintenance on these things you have here. So that's what the idea came up for this. So I just want to talk about the core business flow. And this is based off a real company. In this case, we named it Acme. We're not giving out the name of the company, but basically what we built here is the flow that we're kind of going to demo, right? So the Acme HVAC has a customer database, and in that database there are some of their customers who have subscribed for the platinum maintenance service, right? And so this is kind of the flow of what we're going to demo. So the way this would work in real life is you have a database, and then you have a daily cron job. And the daily cron job would execute a bunch of queries to find out who they're going to call the next day. So the first thing it does is it'll look of all the platinum subscribers in the database. And then it'll query of all the users in the database, how many need to have maintenance done. They haven't had maintenance done in their equipment in the last year or the last 6 months, whatever it is. If they have no equipment due, then we just move on to the next one. If they do need maintenance, then we'll go to the next step is checking the calendar. Do they already have the maintenance scheduled in the future? If it's already scheduled, then we exit out. But if it hasn't, we go to the next step. The next step is, have we called this customer in the last 30 days? We don't want to spam our customers. So if the customer needs maintenance and we haven't called in the last 30 days, then we're going to call them. And then this is what we're going to demo here, right? So then the message goes into a queue, and then we have hours. Like, for example, between the hours of 9 and 5, you call this customer. And so we'll just start calling customers. So the first step is that the agent will initiate a call to the customer. It'll know the customer's name. It'll know the equipment that needs to be maintained, and it'll know their address. Is there anything else, Dan, that the agent needs for this call?
It knows the customer's name, it knows their address, it knows the equipment that they have, it knows the last time they were serviced, it knows
Yep.
the last time that they called. So, for example, if you called them back, we want them to know that they called you and what that call was about.
Yeah, so all that information is all going to come from the customer service database.
So
So
actually, the way that it works is we put the customer ID in the message queue and we make a call, and the agent can pull the phone number out of the call metadata, and then it'll query the customer database itself and include that into the system prompt so the agent's aware of the customer details.
yeah, and one thing we did not put in a demo is the scheduling piece. We didn't set up a calendar or anything, but that'll come into play later, where it's like, what is available. In our case, we have technicians in certain areas because the company that I'm a client of, they cover a very large area. And so they have technicians that cover certain areas and certain days of the week. And so what we're going to demo here is the agent will initiate call. And then if there's no answer, it just retries later. If it goes to voicemail, we'll leave a personalized message, and then the customer has the ability to call back.
I
And
want to talk a little bit about that scheduling piece. So in the demo, you're actually going to see the agent hallucinate. It's going to pretend like it can schedule an appointment for you, but it actually
yep,
can't. So this is a demo. What we would do
yep.
is actually create a proper system prompt and then do proper annotations, evals, iterate on that system prompt, and make sure that the agent does not hallucinate. So right now, all it knows is that there's open windows, like the available time slots that we have in the prompt, but it pretends like it schedules, it tells you it's going to send a text notification. We didn't tell the agent we're going to do any of that. So it's just an example of what you need to watch out for when you're actually productionizing these agents, and you want to make sure that they don't hallucinate and just make things up.
Yep. Yeah, and so the cool part that we're going to demo is at any point during the live call, a human supervisor has the ability to attach themselves to the call and listen. So, for example, in production, it might be like, okay, an agent's on a live call with the customer, and it's been 5 minutes. Okay, clearly there's something wrong if it's taking 5 minutes to schedule a call. So the human supervisor might get a notification saying, hey, click on this link and jump in this call and listen and find out what's going on and maybe take it over, something like that, right? So we're going to demo that too. That's pretty amazing stuff. So then the 3 calls that we are going to do are a call where the agent calls me and I pick up the call and I schedule my appointment. The second demo is going to be, it'll go to voicemail, and then I will listen to the voicemail and call that number back and then schedule my call that way. And there's other things that, like in the business logic, that we did not cover in here. So we get to the point of scheduling an appointment. We're spoofing this. This is not in the demo. We do mention in the calls about sending an email and SAS confirmation. That is not part of the demo, but this is like in the real world production, this is what you would do. The technician would be dispatched based off the service area, because I said different technicians service different areas. There'll be a notification before, and then there'll be some type of update to the record once the service is complete. So the thing that we're covering in this demo is really the voice part.
Yep. Yeah, we're really focused on the agent for this demo. Our
Yep.
focus is the AI piece, but we've been building products even longer than we've been working with AI, so we know exactly how to do all that stuff. It's what we've
Yeah.
been doing for the past 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we love demos. We always think about production. That's the main thing. And here's kind of like a high level overview of the data structure. Basically, you'll have a customer database, and then you have like areas such as like they own this equipment and here's their service history. They also have their call history in here. So we're not spamming our customers. We like to be nice to our customers. And then here's the scheduling piece. You have appointments that are available. You have technicians who service specific service areas. And so these are the things that we did not like. We don't actually have a database here. We just have, like, I think Dan will show later. We
Yeah.
just have a small, I think it's in YAML or something, Dan. You can show it later. But like,
No,
we
I
have one
wrote
customer.
some Python code, but it's just mocked out fixtures for now.
Yep.
And this database schema that Dave's showing you right here, this is the way that we think about things. But we're also able to integrate directly with customer APIs, or if they have a slightly different schema, we can modify it so the agent can work with that as well.
Yeah. I mean, we would have to plug into the customer's existing scheduling service, their
Yep.
customer database, possibly, plug into whatever type of information system that the actual technician has itself, right? There might be some crossover there that we need to plug into, but like, again, we're focusing on just like the voice part of this agent
That's right.
for this
That's the demo piece that we're going over
demo.
today.
Yeah. So Dan's gonna give like a high level overview, the data flow and like the tools we use to do this.
Cool.
There's some pretty cool stuff. Like, I think some of the key parts is the ability of a human to jump into a live call is pretty amazing. And also the voicemail detection is also a big piece. Like, how do you know you actually
Yeah.
went to voicemail?
Cool. So I'm going to go over just at a high level the different systems. I actually don't have the monitoring piece hooked in here, but I'll talk through it. What I'm going to be talking about is Twilio, so the phone number, how that integrates with LiveKit, and then the agent and all the different service providers that we use for speech to text and things like that. So originally when I built this out, I was using the LiveKit command line tool. We've actually since translated that into code. So we have a code making an API call, goes to the LiveKit server. Then the LiveKit server will actually kick off a call to Twilio, and it will create a LiveKit room. And then the agent will join the room, and the customer will either pick up or we'll get a voicemail. So this is the outbound call flow. This is when we're calling out to the customer. And then when a customer calls our phone number, the same phone number that called them, they make a phone call. In this case, it goes to Twilio. We've set up the routing to go to LiveKit, and then LiveKit will create a room. The agent and the customer join the room, and they have the conversation. Here's DeepGram, OpenAI, 11 Labs. So that's the high-level architecture that we're using for this. You can swap out different phone providers if you're not using Twilio. That's totally doable. And now I want to go over and go through the demo, right, Dave?
Yeah, it's your demo.
All right, cool. So I'm going to be on the customer service call monitor, and the agent is going to call Dave right now.
The first example is when I actually answer.
Hi, this is Sarah from Acme HVAC. I'm calling about your annual maintenance service. May I speak with Dave Odell, please?
This is me.
Great, thank you, Dave. I'm reaching out to help schedule your annual maintenance for your air conditioner. What day and time works best for you?
Next week, like Tuesday or Wednesday afternoon are good.
Thanks, Dave. We have availability on Tuesday afternoon from 1 o'clock p.m. to 5 o'clock p.m. and Wednesday morning from 9 o'clock a.m. to 12 o'clock p.m. Would you prefer Tuesday afternoon?
Yeah, let's do Tuesday afternoon.
Perfect, Dave. I've got you down for Tuesday afternoon between 1 o'clock p.m. and 5 o'clock p.m. You'll receive a reminder before your appointment. If you have any questions before then, feel free to reach out. Thanks for choosing Acme HVAC. Have a great day.
Okay, bye.
Awesome. All right,
Yep.
so I showed the whole monitoring of the conversation. Now I'm going to go ahead and make a call to Dave, and he's going to push it to his voicemail. All right. And all right, it looks like Dave's voicemail has answered. The agent is sending a message.
Are you showing your console, Dan?
I'm not
You
showing
should.
my console.
Oh.
I could actually join that call, so I'll join that one. And see, you can see the agent talking still. So the agent, okay, looks like the agent just hung up. You saw the monitor close it.
You want to hear the voicemail now, Dan?
Yeah, let's do it.
Hi, Dave. This is Sarah from Acme HVAC. I'm reaching out to remind you that your annual maintenance is due for your air conditioner. Please give us a call back at your convenience to schedule your appointment. We look forward to helping you keep your system running smoothly. Thank you.
All right, that was awesome. Very professional. I like that. So one thing that we want to show is when the customer service supervisor enters, they can hear and see all the transcript. But because we use LangFuse, the transcript for every single call is automatically going to be in LangFuse automatically. And then we did not do this for this demo, but we showed in our last video, we did a complete overview of all the features that LangFuse made open source. It's really extremely trivial and super useful. For example, a customer service supervisor could review the calls and then quickly annotate, like, the agent should have said this or should have done that or did this great. And so it makes it really, really simple to improve your prompts over time by having a subject matter expert to be able to go into Live Kit, who's not, someone not technical, go into Live Kit and review the calls and give us feedback on how the agent's performing. So
yeah, so I'm actually using this opportunity just to show LangFuse on my screen, and I kind of walk through the different pieces. So I'm actually walking through that call that you just had, and this is the user saying that it's been forwarded. The agent identifies that, and then it leaves a voice message. It actually leaves a voice message through a tool, and I'll walk you through that. But here's the voice message that the agent is sending over. Here's the entire prompt, so you can see initially the assistant introduces itself. That's fine. It can do that no matter what. If it's a voicemail or they get answered, then you see this voicemail message and the agent identifies it and sends a voicemail. And then, as Dave was talking about, we didn't set up annotations, but you can set up different score configurations here. And so you can have different dimensions that you can rate it on. We usually just do pass-fail for each dimension and add notes. We don't usually add annotations at the individual trace level. You should check out our other video if you want to see how we set up an annotation queue so people can go over just trace by trace and add notes. So it's super cool.
The last video we're referring to is called LangFuse, goes fully open source, and we'll link it below. But it goes through all the super awesome features that we love in LangFuse, besides tracing. I think every video we've done, Dan, we use LangFuse every time, right? It's automatic. If you're working with the agents, use LangFuse. That's the high level thing. Okay, let's go back. You want to do you want me to call them back now and schedule an appointment?
Yeah, call it back.
Okay. All right.
Hi, this is Sarah from Acme HVAC. How can I help you today?
Yeah, hi. This is Dave Odell from Truckee, California, and I want to schedule maintenance for my air conditioner. I'm a platinum member.
Thank you, Dave. I see your information here. Are you calling in response to the voicemail we left a few days ago about your annual maintenance? Or is there something else you'd like us to take care of today?
No, I'm calling you back about the annual maintenance voicemail you left me.
Great. Thank you for getting back to us, Dave. What day and time would work best for you to schedule your air conditioner maintenance?
Next week, Tuesday or Wednesday afternoons work better than mornings.
Thanks for letting me know, Dave. I have you down for either Tuesday or Wednesday afternoon next week. Would you prefer Tuesday between 1 o'clock p.m. and 5 o'clock p.m., or would Wednesday afternoon be better for you?
Let's go Wednesday afternoon.
Thank you, Dave. Just to confirm, we have you scheduled for air conditioner maintenance on Wednesday afternoon between 1 o'clock p.m. and 5 o'clock p.m. next week. Is there anything else you'd like us to check or any specific concerns with your system?
Yeah. Are you going to send me a text or something before they show up?
Yes, Dave. We'll send you a reminder text before your appointment, as well as a message when the technician is on their way. Is there anything else I can help you with today?
That's it. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
You're very welcome, Dave. We'll see you Wednesday afternoon. Have a great day.
Okay, bye. Yeah, so that's awesome.
Sweet. And yeah, you see it's hallucinating just a little bit there. Missed a couple cues, but that's all about fine-tuning your use case and making the agent act and think just like any of your other agents.
Yeah, and that's where it's really important to have a subject matter expert do your annotations for you. And that's why we're saying like LangView is great at that, because it gives a great UI for a non-technical person to go in here and give feedback on how the agent's performing, that we can then like consolidate and then update the prompt for the agent itself.
Cool. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and walk you through the code. Everybody's favorite part. So we've showed a live kit demo before. A lot of this is the same, where you start up your live kit worker every time a room is created. In this case, the phone call triggers room creation. The agent will join, and we create the agent here, and we start the session. And so now let's go ahead and go to the customer service agent. So with these phone calls, you actually have the ability to control the room name. And what we actually do is on inbound calls, it comes into the system, we flag it as an inbound call. We put the number and then a random ID. So we have some information embedded in the room name, and then we also make sure that it's random. So here is the format that I'm looking at. You can see inbound, outbound, and phone number. And so what we're doing here is initially we parse out, we get the call direction, we get the phone number, we pull the customer service data from the database. Right now, this is hard-coded. I'm not even going to go into it, but it pulls out what we've discussed, and I'll show you the different things that it pulls out when we go through each of the prompts. I'm going to walk through those. Now it loads up the prompt. We're using Jinja for our prompts. Sends the template context in there. And we have two prompts. One is the original instructions, which is the system prompt. LiveKit just calls it instructions. And then we have the initial prompt is, what is the agent going to say? And this is actually different for inbound and outbound calls because they're slightly different use cases. And we'll walk through those prompts right now, actually. So let's go to the prompts and we'll go to outbound because that's the first thing we do. So instructions, outbound. And we have a shared context, so that's the same. So the agent role is the same for these prompts. So Sarah from Acme HVAC, then we have today's date. So especially with scheduling, you know, let the agent know the current date, otherwise it'll think it's the date that it was trained on. Then you have the last service date, available time windows, customer name, equipment type, and call history. And so this is the same for both, and this context can obviously expand. If the agent needs to know more and more things, then the instructions will expand, and it's fine. Prompts can be hundreds of lines long, and the agent will be able to make the right decision. And in fact, they will definitely get longer, because as you heard, the agent wasn't always saying the right thing, and we called out some hallucinations, so we need to really get strict on the rules and make sure that the agent's behaving the way we want it to, or it'll bail out. So LiveKit also has a feature to transfer the call. So if it needs to bail out, we could have the agent transfer it to a human as well.
Hey Dan, can I point something out here?
Yeah.
So we've done a bunch of videos on the 12-factor agent, right? Just like the 12-factor app is a 12-factor agent. And the third one, which is a video entitled Production Ready AI Exploring Factor 3, XML versus Markdown Prompts. And we clearly show in that video that using XML tags is like the most efficient way of defining all of your prompts.
Yeah, and that's right. So as your context expands, you may want to even do something like call history here and then break out each call. Say you have like multiple lines of metadata per call. That would also help the agent distinguish and know where to reference call history in the prompt. If the last user message references call history or something that would make the agent need call history, it'd be nice to have it really highlighted with an XML tag as well, so you can have a little bit of nesting there. And so this is the objective. The objective is to schedule appointments. Then there's instructions. So we want the agent to always introduce themselves. We want to confirm who they're talking to make sure that it's the customer. Be friendly. Keep responses concise. Don't just ramble on about a bunch of stuff. Let the user respond. And always prioritize scheduling. And this is another area where we can really customize for your use case. How do you want your agents to respond to people? How do you want them to communicate? Maybe you don't always need a prioritizer for scheduling or something. In this case, we just wanted to. And then we have some scheduling rules here. With the scheduling, a lot of times the agent will just say, all right, we're scheduling, and just give you all the available times. It's like, no, actually wait, walk the customer through it, ask them what day, then once they respond, then look up the times for that day, things like that, right? Just some guidance, letting the agent know how to do it. All right, let's go back to the outbound prompt. So we needed to inform the agent that they're the person calling and that they're the one talking to the customer. Sometimes the agent will think they're an assistant to a customer support agent, and then they'll tell the customer support agent what to do. So we need to let them know, hey, you're actually the person talking to the customer directly. You're not talking to a customer support agent. And then the sequence of operations here is you always start with your greeting. You saw in that voicemail trace, the agent still introduced herself, and then she listened. And when you listen, that's when you can identify, all right, is this a live customer or a voicemail? And some notes on how the agent should do that. And then we have a tools section here for the leave voicemail tool. And it tells when it should, and if it sees like at the tone or leave a message or they're not here, then okay, it's a voicemail. You need to call the leave voicemail tool. And we have it as a tool because at the end of the voicemail, we want to make sure we hang up. If you don't hang up at the end of the voicemail, it'll just leave like a 5-minute long voicemail, and nobody wants that.
Yeah.
So that's
one more thing. Can I point out one more thing here? Like
yeah.
you'll see, like in the last context in this one, keywords, if you capitalize, are very important. So words like always or do not are super important to capitalize those. Like that, right? That is like a super prompt for the AI agent. So the things are use XML tags and use caps to emphasize specific things.
Yeah. And a lot of times you'll see never, and sometimes you'll even repeat these instructions. So if you end up having a very large context, you may want to repeat the instructions at the end. So you have them at the beginning and you've got to remind the agent. All right, cool. Now let's just go over the inbound one real quick, which is a little bit easier. We want to introduce yourself. We want to check the call history. So I noticed when Dave was calling, when Dave called, he actually told the agent, all right, I'm returning your call. Then they still checked the call history again, even though Dave said he was returning the call. And so there's probably a note that we need to add to this system prompt, like, well, actually, if the customer says that they're returning your call, you have to double check. And if they've said, okay, this is Dave Odell, you can see that it's the right person. So another example of how we might tune this as we go and how you evaluate some of these situations. When you go through the annotations, as Dave was talking about, you kind of start to categorize those different errors. Then you can also prioritize them and say, like, all right, this one is actually coming up more than this one. Let's prioritize and fix it. And then you have your evals to make sure you don't break anything else. So it's a whole fun process to really shape how these agents are communicating with people. All right, let's go back to the agent. So we just went over the prompts. Here I'm setting up the tools. If it's an outbound call, then we provide the leave voicemail tool. If it's an inbound, we don't want that tool to be available. We don't want the agent to accidentally try to leave a voicemail. All right, I'm going to skip past some stuff. This is some lang fuse tracing that I added, and I'm going to go straight to the tool. So we're using LiveKit tooling, so it'll automatically wire this up for you. It doesn't do anything special here. It uses the function name, the function parameters to generate the OpenAPI schema that you pass in the tool dictionary that we showed in one of our previous videos. I think it was Factor 1 where we went over that tools dictionary. And then this is the documentation for the tool. So all of this stuff is included. LiveKit parses it out. Other libraries also parse this out for you. If you look at Pydantic AI, do something very similar.
And Dan, when we were looking into this, we've had a hard problem to solve is how do you know when you're leaving a voicemail? We know that Twilio had an option for us and LiveKit had an option for us. Which one did we choose?
Well, we're in LiveKit. I didn't do anything with Twilio. We really wanted our agent to be aware, and otherwise I would have had to do some kind of API integration with Twilio here, which I really was not interested in doing. So I wanted our agent to be able to do it. This took a couple different tries. So I initially just copied what LiveKit had in their documents. I was like, all right, let's see how it works. They have this in their examples. Let's just throw it in here. And that didn't work. The LiveKit one was all about detecting a voicemail and then doing something. And really, when I started framing it as a tool to leave a voicemail, that's when the agent started actually doing the right thing. So I had to switch the context from detection, because the tool actually wasn't detecting a voicemail. The agent had already detected a voicemail and then called the tool. So I always wanted the agent to detect it, but leave a voicemail. And there was another thing here where inside of the voicemail, LiveKit had an example that would generate the voicemail that I would send. I found that actually having the voicemail message be a parameter to the leave voicemail tool was more effective. Then I could say the voicemail here and in the call. When I tried to generate the voicemail from within the tool call, it would often hang up before it finished talking, or it wouldn't end the call properly. So there was some trickiness to get this to work just right. And I think there's still probably some work to make it work 99.99% of the time as well. So that's it for the agent. That's the tool. This was a lot of fun to put together this very simplistic version that kind of showcases how we would do it. Obviously, when we build this out for customers, it's a little bit more complex. So the last thing that I want to show is how we created that monitor front end. You can see on the bottom left here, the front end is actually just polling, all right, are there any rooms? And that's how it knows to populate that drop-down list. And since we have the rooms tagged as inbound and outbound, if you notice when I was going through it, you could actually see, oh, it's an inbound call or an outbound call. So the front end also was able to identify based on the room name, which is really handy. Let's go ahead and go to the code. All right, so this is the main application component for the front end. We're calling our backend, which I didn't go over, but there's two API calls on the back end. So we fetch all the rooms, then we join a room. In this case, we're joining the specific room. In our last LiveKit video, we were actually creating a room and then joining it. In this case, we know exactly which room we're going to join. And so that's why we generate the token with the room name that we're going to join, and then we go ahead and join the room. So that's how that works. It's actually not too bad. So that's it for the code. Pretty simple. It's a starting point. Mess around with it, make your own agents, and see what you can do. I'm excited to hear what people have to say about this one. What do you think, Dave?
Yeah, this is a really cool one. And don't forget, this is a full demo. So everything that you saw, as long as you have the right keys, you can run this yourself, right? You can wow your boss. Like, hey, look what I did over the weekend, right? Go and play with it. This is fun stuff. This was a really cool real world example of how to use an AI agent to make a company operate more efficiently, increase the ROI, remove the mundane tasks from a human customer service agent. Like they can leave voicemail, they can schedule. Let the humans like take care of the big problems that they need to solve their customers, right? So
that's right.
This is an awesome example of what's the value of AI. We just showed you in this video.
Yeah,
and
for
feel
sure.
free to use the demo and call it your own, right?
Yeah, go for it. We'll have a link to the GitHub repo for you, as always. All right. If you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. And if you want to work with us, follow the link. We'd love to talk to you. Schedule a time to talk to us. All right. Have a good day.
Bye, everybody.